Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the communication webinar from Atlantic Youth Creative Hubs project, well known as AICH in Spain, Portugal, and France, and AYCH in UK and Ireland. My name is Diego Moreiras, and today I'm going to explain how to create your own podcast using just a smartphone. Okay, first of all, let me introduce what is a podcast. Okay, it's a good question because it's something relative new or fresh, and it means maybe a useful tool to empower the people messages, mm, which can reach all the corners of the world and at the same time facilitate people's learning. Their main advantages are that it's very accessible, it's cheap or even free. You can listen it everywhere in any situation while you are driving, training, eating, or whatever. Also, it doesn't need images to transmit their idea. So, as you know, it's also possible to have podcasts with video, but in case that we don't have this image, we can transmit a message. Okay, we have to compare the radio with the podcast because they are competitors in some points. As you know, the radio was before the podcast, and the radio, of course, it's great for some things. But the problem of the radio is that if you want to listen something especially, then you have to wait, or you need to be at 1 hour, listen the radio to listen this thing that you like. With the podcast, sorry, you don't need to wait. I mean, you can listen everything whenever you want and wherever you want, as I said before. So, is the radio better or worse than the podcast? No, I think they are complement for the other. And in that case, for example, the podcast for us will be better just for the point that we can prepare this podcast, we can edit the audios that we speak, and in the radio when you say something, it's on live and the message is there. Okay. Related with the formats, you have a lot of possibilities when you do a podcast. Okay. For example, you can do an interview with a friend, with other people. Um, you can create also a debate, more formal or informal. If it's informal, it's more like a talk between partners, friends, wherever. You can create like a kind of newspaper, an agenda. Also, you can do like a theater, and you can sing, mm, you can tell a story. There are so many possibilities to create a podcast, and no one of these possibilities are better than the others. You have to adapt the formats to yourself and think what is better for you and what you want to transmit and how you want to transmit the information, okay, to the users. Then we have to speak about the narrating because this point it's really important if you want to save some time. For example, if you improvise, usually at the beginning, you have to record the audio more than 20 times to have a clear audio, a clear idea, for example. So to save this time, it's important to structure the podcast. So we can do a script that it's like a small guion where you can write all the ideas, and you just can see the ideas while you are speaking. Okay. Then we have another tool that it's called Escaleta, and in this Escaleta, it's more about technical aspects. For example, during the from the second 0 to the second 20, we are going to put kind of sound, and we are going to introduce the podcast, for example. From the second 35 until second 41, we are going to put just music and make a silence. Stuff like this, okay? So it's important to have everything planned, to have more clear the ideas, and you don't have to think on the moment what you want to do. And of course, there are a lot of type of script. Could be literally like you just read the things that you write, or technical with more technical aspects, as I said, or both together. Okay. Then another important thing, and it's like a kind of tip that I can give to you. In my experience, of course, if we speak mm, like this the whole time, blah 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 blah, the audience will be a little bit annoying, and maybe they stop listening to you. Okay, so we need to be more emphatic in some ideas. We need to use music on the background or sound effects. Then, for example, if we are speaking about a horror story, for example, we have some laughs on the background, we have some screams or something like this. So the mind of the users, of the people who are listening to you, then they can imagine better the ideas, and they can keep the essence of your podcast. Okay. Also, we have to recap about the words, the most important words during the podcast, the most important ideas. We have to repeat it once and again and again and again and again and again. Okay, until we can reach the public. What else? The silence. Sometimes the silence is more important than the things that you say. Okay, so after a important message, it's better to make a small silence, just to let them think on the ideas that you said before. Okay, and of course, change the tone. If you speak always in the same tone, like "Hello, my name is Diego. I'm going to speak about," no. If you speak like this, then it's a little bit boring. So you have to change your tone. Put more emphasis on one sentence, on one word. Okay, so try to do this. Of course, it's something that at the beginning it's very complicated, but when you listen your podcast once and twice and three times and more than 20 times again, you can realize that you have these small mistakes, and you have to improve it. Okay. More tips. For example, mm, use short sentence. Like, if you want to transmit an idea, if you speak during a long time to explain something, and you go around instead to be directly, then you can miss the idea in the middle. Again, about music and sounds. The music supports the reality that you are telling. So use music that can adapt to your ideas. Okay. Also, music or sounds. Maybe sometimes the music is not okay, so you need to use some sounds. Uh, this music also is part of the narrative. So when you are telling something, the music it's with the story. And also, for example, if you use sounds or music at the beginning or at the end of the podcast, or even in the middle, uh, this music can be related with you. I mean, for example, you know this song, na 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 na. Okay, so you can identify the brand and what is later or before this sound. So you need to make something special that the public can identify without listening to you. Okay, here in the presentation you have some places or some websites where you can find music without rights and without a copyright. So you can go to this bank of audios and music and take it from them. Because if you take music with rights or sound with rights, then when you when you post your podcast, it's a problem because in some platforms they are going to delete it. Okay, because of the rights. And now related with the phone. Okay, as you know, there are a lot of possibilities to record the podcast, but in this case, we decide to focus on the phone. Why with the phone? Because it's a tool that we have always in our hands or in our pockets. So it's the easiest way to record a podcast, sorry. And also, you don't need too many things. You don't need to spend a lot of money on the tools to record it. Okay, so with the smartphone, there are a lot of applications that you can use, but in all the smartphones, Apple or Android or whatever, you have a voice recorded. So you can use this voice recorded. You don't need to download anything else. And once you have your audios, you can edit with other programs. But I will explain later. So important again, another tips. When you use your phone, it's important to be in a place with no echo because if we don't have a really really good micro and if we are outside at the street, we will have all the sounds around us in our audio, and then it's really difficult to delete it. So it's better to be in a quiet place, and also if it's possible without echo. Mm, let the phone on a flat table, for example, and be closer to the micro when you speak, because if you are far away from it, will be a little bit difficult. Then you have to edit the audio and put more volume on the podcast. So in that case, if you speak closer, you don't have any problem and you don't need to edit usually. Leave few seconds between the you play the rec and you start to speak, because if not, sometimes you start to speak and you didn't press the button, so it's a problem. Then you have to start again. Record short sections because it's easier to download it and to edit. For example, if you record like 1 minute, could be okay. But even for me, in my case, it's even better if I record like 20, 30 seconds and that's all. Because when you record like 1 minute, 2 minutes, and you fail at the end of the podcast, you can get frustrated because you have to repeat everything again. If you just record 20 seconds and you fail, it's okay. It's 20 seconds. And yeah, as I said, it will be easier to edit it. And of course, once you have your audio ready, then you have to listen and listen and listen and listen and just try to improve the all the mistakes that we can have, or not mistakes, but things that we think that we can improve it. Okay, so let's talk about the platforms. Mm, Here I show you some of the platforms that you can listen the podcast and also upload your own podcast. There are so many options. In that case, I bring to you the most famous podcast platforms. For example, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, eBooks, that it's only in Spanish, Spotify, and Spotify is has linked another platform that is called Anchor. In this platform, you can record your audios, your podcast from your laptop or from your smartphone, and then edit the audio in the platform, and directly you can post it on Spotify. And the last is YouTube. In YouTube, of course, you have podcast with video or with image. Mm, is it better or is it worse? I don't have the the key. But for me, both are great, but you have to be really careful with the images or with the videos that you use with your audio. Why? Because the image has a lot of power. It's really powerful, so it can change the meaning of your ideas. So when you put a video or an image, please try to put it with sense that the idea and the picture are together, okay? And that's all. So thank you so much for your attention, and I hope to see you in next episodes. And of course, if you have some doubts, I will let you know my email. You can write to me, and we can keep in touch. Thank you so much. Ciao, ciao.